That creamy Canadian ice cream you grew up loving, it's not actually ice cream anymore, and the companies know you haven't noticed. They've quietly replaced real cream with modified milk ingredients and vegetable oil, then pumped the mixture full of air, so you're literally paying for nothing. But here's what they don't want you to know. Which familiar brands are the worst offenders? And which two are still making the real thing? You reach into your freezer for that familiar tub of Chapman's vanilla, the one with the cheerful red and white label that's been a Canadian staple since 1973. You scoop out what should be creamy, rich ice cream, but instead, your spoon slides through something that feels more like frozen foam. Hold it up to the light, and you'll see tiny air bubbles throughout, almost like a sponge. That's because Chapman's pumps their ice cream full of air, a process called overrun, and some of their products contain up to 50% air by volume. You're paying for frozen air in a cardboard container. Check the ingredient list and you'll find guar gum, cellulose gel, mono and diglycerides, carrageenan, and polysorbate 80. These aren't cream and sugar. These are stabilizers, emulsifiers, and thickeners designed to hold all that air in place and create a texture that mimics real ice cream. The milk ingredients listed aren't even pure cream anymore. They're modified milk ingredients, a vague term that can include anything from skim milk powder to whey protein concentrates. You're eating engineered texture, not ice cream. Now grab a tub of Nestle Parlor ice cream, another brand Canadians have trusted for decades, the one with those classic flavors like Heavenly Hash and Tiger Tail. Scoop some out and let it sit on the counter for 10 minutes. Real ice cream made with pure cream and milk should melt into a smooth liquid. Nestle Parlor turns into a strange, separated mess with a watery puddle at the bottom and a gummy, almost rubbery layer on top. That's because this isn't ice cream made from cream. It's made with modified milk ingredients, glucose solids, and vegetable oil. Yes, vegetable oil in ice cream. The label might say ice cream, but legally, in Canada, products with vegetable oil should be called frozen dessert, not ice cream. Yet, Nestle markets this as premium ice cream, charging you $4 to $6 per tub for what's essentially flavored frozen oil and air. The texture tells you everything. When you press real ice cream between your tongue and the roof of your mouth, it melts immediately into pure, cold liquid that tastes like sweet cream. When you do the same with Chapman's or Nestle Parlor, you feel resistance. The product doesn't melt cleanly. It turns gummy and sticky, coating your mouth with a film that feels wrong. That's the vegetable oil and emulsifiers at work, trying to hold together a product that shouldn't exist. Your body knows the difference, even if your conscious mind doesn't register it yet. Real ice. Cream is simple. Cream, milk, sugar, eggs, and flavor. Everything else is engineering, designed to make cheap ingredients feel expensive and air feel like substance. These two brands built their reputation decades ago when they actually made real ice cream, and they're counting on you not noticing that the recipe changed years ago while the packaging and the price stayed the same. The pattern gets worse when you examine Breyer's Ice Cream, a brand owned by Unilever that Canadians see in every grocery store freezer. Pick up their classic vanilla and read the ingredients. You won't find cream listed first anymore. You'll find modified milk ingredients, then glucose, then a list of additives longer than most recipes. Breyer's reformulated their products years ago, quietly replacing real cream with cheaper alternatives, but they kept the same packaging, the same price point, and the same nostalgic marketing that makes you think you're buying the ice cream your grandparents ate. You're not. You're buying what the industry calls frozen dairy dessert, a technical term for products that don't meet the legal standard for ice cream. The texture gives it away immediately. Real ice cream feels dense and cold on your tongue, then melts into a rich liquid. Breyer's feels light, almost airy, and melts into something thin and watery with an oily aftertaste from all those emulsifiers. Now look at PC Black Label ice cream from Loblaws, marketed as their premium line with elegant black packaging and promises of Belgian chocolate and Madagascar vanilla. The price tag suggests luxury, often $8 to $10 per small tub. But crack open that container and you'll find the same modified milk ingredients, the same glucose solids, the same parade of stabilizers and emulsifiers. The vanilla beans you see scattered throughout. They're there for show, adding visual appeal, but contributing almost nothing to flavor compared to artificial vanilla extract, which is listed higher up in the ingredients. You're paying premium prices for mid-grade frozen dessert with pretty packaging and marketing language designed to make you feel sophisticated while you eat reconstituted milk powder. These brands know exactly what they're doing. They use words like premium, artisan, and classic to trigger your emotions and memories. They show you pictures of happy families and summer days. They put their products in fancy containers with gold accents and European-sounding names. But behind all that, marketing is the same cheap formula. Modified milk ingredients, glucose, air, and chemicals. The profit margin on these products is massive because air costs nothing and modified milk ingredients cost a fraction of real cream. You're subsidizing their profits every time you choose packaging and marketing over actual ingredients. The deception runs deeper than most Canadians realize. Scotsburn Ice Cream, a maritime favorite that's been around since 1900, advertises itself as a traditional, family-owned company making ice cream the old-fashioned way. Their website shows happy cows and rolling green pastures. But flip over any Scotsburn container, and you'll find the same industrial ingredients. Carrageenan, derived from seaweed, cellulose gum made from wood pulp, and polysorbate 80, a synthetic compound also used in cosmetics and medications. A 2019 study published in the journal Cancer Research found that polysorbate 80 can alter gut bacteria and promote inflammation in the digestive tract, potentially contributing to inflammatory bowel disease. The same additive appears in most mass-market ice cream brands in Canada. You're not eating maritime tradition. You're eating the same factory-made product as everyone else, just with regional marketing. Then there's Kawartha Dairy, an Ontario brand that markets itself as premium, all-natural ice cream made in small batches. Their price reflects this image, often costing $7 to $9 per tub. But look at independent tests, conducted by Canadian Food Labs. Kawartha Dairy's Overrun, the amount of air whipped into the product, measures between 40 and 45%, nearly identical to Chapman's and other mass-market brands. Their ingredient lists are shorter, yes, but they still contain mono and diglycerides, guar gum, and carrageenan gum. These are the same texture modifiers used across the industry. The only real difference is Kawartha Dairy uses real cream instead of modified milk ingredients, but they compensate by pumping in just as much air, giving you less actual ice cream per container. You're paying artisanal prices for industrial methods with slightly better base ingredients. The math doesn't work in your favor. This is the moment when you realize the problem isn't just one or two bad brands. It's an entire industry that's decided real ingredients cost too much, and consumers won't notice the difference. They've trained you to accept less quality at the same or higher prices. They've used nostalgia and marketing to blind you to what's actually in the container. But once you know what to look for, you can't unsee it. But there are two brands that break this pattern completely. Häagen-Dazs ice cream, despite being owned by a massive corporation, maintains strict standards that most Canadian brands abandoned years ago. Pick up any Häagen-Dazs container and read the ingredients for their vanilla flavor. You'll find 5 ingredients: cream, skim milk, cane sugar, egg yolks, and vanilla extract. That's it. No modified milk ingredients, no glucose solids, no stabilizers, no emulsifiers, no vegetable oils. Just cream, milk, sugar, eggs, and vanilla. This is what ice cream is supposed to be. The overrun in Häagen-Dazs measures between 20 and 25%. less than half the air content of Chapman's or Breyer's. You're getting real density, real cream, and real flavor. Yes, it costs more, typically $6 to $8 for a smaller container, but you're paying for actual ice cream, not frozen air and modified ingredients. The texture tells you immediately. It's dense, it's heavy, it melts slowly into pure liquid cream with no separation, no oiliness, no chemical aftertaste. This is the standard every other brand should meet, but doesn't. Then there's Shaw's Ice Cream, a family-owned company in Vancouver that's been making real ice cream since 1960 without cutting corners. Shaw's uses only Canadian dairy cream, pure cane sugar, and natural stabilizers derived from real food sources like locust bean gum from carob trees. Their overrun stays below 30%, meaning you're getting significantly more actual ice cream per scoop than any mass-market brand. A 1.5-liter tub of Shaw's contains more dairy fat and protein than a 2-liter tub of Chapman's because there's less air and no filler ingredients. The difference is obvious when you taste it. Shaw's ice cream feels luxurious and rich, coating your mouth with real cream flavor that lingers. It melts clean with no weird texture or aftertaste. And because they're a regional company, their products are fresher, often reaching stores within days of production instead of sitting in distribution warehouses for weeks. You won't find Shaw's everywhere in Canada, mostly in Western Canada, but if you can access it, you're getting what ice cream was meant to be before corporations decided profit margins mattered more than quality. Here's how to protect yourself going forward. First, always read the ingredient list before you read the front label. If you see modified milk ingredients, glucose solids, or vegetable oil in the first 5 ingredients, put it back. Real ice cream lists, cream or milk first, followed by sugar. Second, check for the number of ingredients. Real ice cream rarely needs more than 7 or 8 ingredients total. If you're reading a list of 15 or 20 items, you're looking at a chemistry experiment, not food. Third, do the melt test at home. Leave a scoop on a plate for 15 minutes. Real ice cream melts into smooth liquid. Fake ice cream separates, gets gummy, or leaves an oily residue. Fourth, feel the weight. Pick up containers of the same size from different brands. Real ice cream feels noticeably heavier because it contains more actual dairy and less air. Stop buying frozen dairy desserts marketed as ice cream. Stop rewarding companies that fill containers with air and industrial additives. Demand transparency. Read ingredient labels. Choose brands that respect both your health and your money. Share this video with everyone you know. Comment below with which ice cream brand shocked you the most. And subscribe, because next week we're exposing what's really in Canadian breakfast cereals. And trust me, you'll never look at your morning bowl the same way again.